Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be back on the Here For It Live program. And today I have the amazing Lisa Audi. Hi, Lisa. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Good morning. I had my 2 Mountain Dews so I can keep up with you this morning.
I strategically placed this program on Fridays at 11 because I feel like we're all usually in a good headspace on Fridays, excited to
Mm.
get into the weekend. So I feel you. I will. You are always high energy though, so I don't think we'll have any issues with that.
Oh, no, I told everybody that I promoted it to was to grab their popcorn. If they knew you and they knew me, this would be entertaining.
Yes, yes. Okay. So first of all, I have to say the very first time that I had ever met you was at the track. So you
Mhm.
were coordinating the entire like family fun tent under
Mm.
this big, huge tent. I had just moved to the area, I just opened up Paint and Sip, and I had no idea even what like all the track entailed, like the entire experience. Like I had just done
Yep.
like little so it was such a fun experience. We did Paint and Sip at the track, and you coordinated everything. And I just remember like just being in awe of you because you were just so easy to work with, and you were just like rolling with the flow. And there's like, and with events, there's like always something that potentially
Yeah.
could go wrong, So I think that there's like a special place in heaven for anybody that's like an event coordinator, event manager, or wrangler of painters. So kudos to you. That was like one of my first experiences working with you. So
And if you think about it, Catherine, that was for probably Women's Day, Fabulous Phillies Day. So it almost was a, precursor to what you're doing now, right? Like, I mean, that was
isn't
a
that
day
crazy?
to highlight, women, and celebrate women at the track. And obviously, yeah, the track is a tough one because if you're not from here, it makes absolutely no sense that, the popularity of Saratoga race courses is unmatched across the country. So when people come and they're like, wait, you go to the track and like, and the people that haul in their coolers and their whole setups. I mean, you come from Louisiana and you're like, where did I just move? Like, what is all this? So it
Yeah,
does,
well, the,
there's a
well,
little
the
bit of a
closest,
learning curve.
yeah, I mean, the closest thing I could compare it to is Mardi Gras, which is we're in Mardi Gras season right now in New Orleans, and it's very much like that. And so it's very just like chaotic, but exciting and fun, and you never really know who you're gonna be like standing like at the track. You never know who you're gonna what type of person you'll be standing next to at the rail. And it's the same scenario in New Orleans for a Mardi Gras parade. You could be standing next to the mayor, you could be standing next to the janitor at a school, and it's like everyone is just there for the collected experience and excitement and camaraderie, and it's just the most incredible thing.
Yeah, it was a great time. Very tiring though. It was a very long 6 weeks in the summer.
So tell
Day,
me,
that's for
so
sure.
how did you go from that? And you did some work at the United Way at some point, and then like tell us, like we're here to talk about Bring on the Spectrum, which I'm so excited about,
Sure.
and I love that you've been working on this, and I just don't think there's anyone but you that could execute such a program and such a facility and community space for children, teens, and adults on the spectrum. And correct me if I'm saying the wrong things. Like you know, I'm very good at saying all the wrong things. So please correct me if I'm not saying the appropriate words for it. And let me know how you got to it and what was the catalyst to kind of bring you into this business.
It's yeah, I mean, it's all listen and learn at this point. So you can ride along with me as I listen and learn. I think, my daughter is deaf, hard of hearing. I adopted her from China. It'll be 8 years in March that we'll celebrate our Gotcha Day. And in her third year of pre-K, she was diagnosed with autism, and she does, relatively well. She's, mainstreamed in her school district. But what we saw, and there's a group of people, it's just not me, but there was a sensory gym up in Latham that closed, pre-COVID. The owner had moved out of the area. But I had contacted her, like, because we went there, like, what happened, right? And she kind of went through some of what their challenges were. And as I talked to, my group of folks that were interested in, what could be provided, we knew that the sensory gym itself wasn't enough, right? Like it can operate, it's needed, but it's not doesn't have the sustainability, if you will, with just as it is, right? And so, we just started talking to people. We talked to, AIM and ALG and Center for Disability Services and Living Resources. We talked to parents. I talked to the Boys and Girls Club. I talked to everybody that I knew from, all of my career span, from Pepsi Arena through Ed Louis Associates, through United Way, and especially in the neurodiverse, group, school districts, to try to figure out like what's missing for our individuals. And, I think, when you and I first spoke, I talk about, everybody understands or, can acknowledge, the cute 6-year-old kid with autism, trying to play challenger baseball. But you know what? What if the kid doesn't like sports? Right? Like not everybody loves sports. So that there's great that there's all these activities that are sports related, but then there's nothing else. And more importantly, as that child grows, we use the word spectrum to not just mean autism. It's all intellectual and developmental disabilities, but we use the word spectrum as the spectrum of diagnoses, the spectrum of ages, which is what I was just alluding to, and then the spectrum of diversity and inclusion. So when you talk about the spectrum of ages, okay, the 6-year-old eventually becomes 12, becomes 16, becomes 26, 36, and it's almost like we forget about that person, right? Like, you don't outgrow autism. It does not go away. Yet our system right now is set up to have a model for that individual up until age 21. And then when they age out of the school system, it's called the cliff, right? Like everything, even if your kid doesn't like school, right? Like I was, dropping my kid off the other day at school, and there's this little boy like trudging down the hill. He was a walker, like with his backpack, probably like, ugh, I don't want to go to school. But you know what? There is comfort and there's familiarity in going to school every day. That's like all as a kid, right? Like you've got your family life and maybe you play soccer, you're in Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whatever. But for 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day, our children, Monday through Friday, have this comfortable ecosystem that they live in. And we've decided that for the neurodiverse population, they have the extended years. So that's beyond your senior year of when you might graduate with your typical peers. And so at age 21, you're out. Well, then where are you going? So the transition conversations usually happen around age 15. And so that's what we were looking at, that middle school age kid. What could we offer? What is available to maybe impact outcomes, right? And so, the social, recreational, and lifestyle activities of what we want to do in this community space helps to hopefully address that, right? So, everything that we're looking at is, integrated as possible, but the ability to foster, friendships, develop teamwork, work on skills, so that when those transition conversations start to happen, maybe there's a broader world. That said, as much as going to college or doing a college type program, whether it's, the college experience, career next type programs that Living Resources does, that's not everybody's outcome. And I would love for employment to skyrocket. Like right now, unemployment in our individuals is horrible. And it can be better if we get companies to understand that onboarding a neurodiverse individual is different than onboarding a typical neurotypical person, but they'll stay with you longer. They're not going to be job jumpers, right? So it's just thinking differently. But if employment and college is not the outcome at age 21, there are individuals that might not want to do a day hab program. There are individuals that don't need to be in a residential home. Then what is there for them other than their mom's couch, right? And sitting and watching YouTube videos. So again, we don't have all the answers, but we just think having a place where individuals can come for just a few hours. It's no different than me wanting to come to your community and hang out for a few hours and, get some social interaction while I, work on my laptop, right? And,
Mhm.
work on my business, whatever that might be. There's individuals that just want to come someplace and there's people there to hang out with,
Yeah,
just
and
like a
speak,
neuro,
right?
like
I mean,
what is a
that's one of
neurotypical
your things,
22?
right? Like, just
Yeah,
this is the place for them to just come and be.
exactly. And so, what we'll be challenged with is, what is the right mix and, what time of day. And we know that there will be some trial and error on that, right? Like it's no different than what you've been trying to create with your programming at Palette. But, we know that the need is there and, we have the ability to make mistakes, right? Like we have the four walls. We actually have more than four walls because we have multiple rooms, but we have the ability to, host the activities and host the, different items. And then we'll figure out the time of day and, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
So
all
that's
that'll be worked out, and especially it's like I think with your business, it's just such a beacon of light for these communities and for these families that don't have anywhere to go. And if they didn't have anywhere to go before COVID has exacerbated all that as
yeah.
well. So I'm so thrilled to have you in, like, it's there now, so people can come and visit you and they can see the space. And I haven't been yet, but I can't wait to come. And actually, I'll be in Albany maybe next week, so maybe I'll swing by. I can't
Sure,
wait to see it.
definitely.
I've seen all the pictures. And so the other question I have for you is, this is it inclusive of kids and families not on the spectrum that may want to, because I've thought about that. Like when I was growing up, I never really spent any time with anyone that was on, the spectrum. And of course, this is like a different world and culture back then. But I can remember, being in the, grocery line and seeing someone that was special needs, and just being, because I've had never been around it, I was just kind of in awe, and I wanted to know more about it. And and I can remember I had like this vivid memory of the parent. Like I remember I was in the grocery store line with my mom, and there was a child with special needs in front of us with her mom. And I was just staring, because I was just completely in awe of, like, wondered what was different about that child.
Yeah.
And I remember looking up at my mom and looking at her, and it's like she could tell what was going on. And she goes, "Well, why don't you ask her?" She said, go ahead and ask her mom. Go ahead and ask her mom. And it created this dialogue, and I just thought it was I just wondered, like, is this a space where anybody can come to be part of your community? It's specialized with children and teens and adults on the spectrum, but open to everyone.
Totally, totally. I mean, honestly, that's what's helpful, right? Like, the example I like to give is I've got friends of mine who have, one neurotypical and one neurodiverse child, and parents work all week, and then on Saturday and Sundays that should be your, hangout family time. But sometimes when you have a neurodiverse individual in the family, it kind of throws a monkey wrench in things. Either the individual doesn't want to go and do, what the rest of the family wants to do. But the idea here at the community space is, for example, the neurodiverse individual could go into the sensory gym and play and, burn some energy. And the sibling could maybe take the art class that we'll be offering or the yoga class. So that way the family's going all together to one place versus, dad's taking one kid and mom's taking the other kid. But it's also just the activities are for everyone. I mean, I honestly, I go on the swing. Like it's nice. It's a nice little motion thing going on.
Yeah, I love
Which
that. And I mean, you're planning movie nights, art classes, yoga, movement. I'm so excited. I think it's great. I just, like, now I'm like, when are you going to open one in Saratoga?
Someone, we had a donor at Christmas time say, he wrote to me on LinkedIn like, "Hey, I was happy to donate. Can't wait to, for your next one." I'm like, dude, like I'm stressed over this one. So,
Well,
like
you know
the,
me. I'm like an Android bunny. I'm like, I'm ready to open the next one. Right? What's next? What's next? That's just like my MO.
There is some space down for me if you want.
Ooh, all right. Well, I have to come check it out for sure.
Yeah.
And then so speaking of donations, you are collecting donations or accepting donations to help fund this project, and you're open for memberships, right? So if you want to join or your family wants to join now, they can get involved now. And are you going to do ribbon cutting? When is opening day?
Yeah, yeah.
When's the party?
When's the party? That's what you're showing up for.
Sure.
Yeah, we are. So yeah, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So we do accept donations on our website, bringonthespectrum.org. And we were, very, grateful for the support that we've gotten both from individuals and.
Oh no, I lost you. All right, well, I lost Lisa, but what she was getting at is that you can join Bring on the Spectrum today, and they're going to have an opening really soon. And I implore all of you to go on her website. It's bringonthespectrum.org. She is a nonprofit, and stay tuned because I definitely am going to go down there and do a little. Oh, here she is. Here she is back.
Oh, okay, I'm back. I don't know where I went.
I was telling everyone to go to your
website. Anytime you ask for money, people just tune you out. So that's what happened.
Well, I tried to roll with the punches here, and I told everyone to go to your website. You can donate, right? There's a great big button on the right side of our homepage. You can donate to Bring on the Spectrum, and you were telling us when is opening day.
I would say within the next 2 weeks. We're just finishing the inspections with the town of Colony, which we had one yesterday, and then we have a couple more next week. We'll do a soft opening, so the actual giant scissor type thing would probably be the February 12, 13 range would be at the latest.
Okay, cool. And then tell me, I know that you worked with Community Loan Fund. You went through their incubator or accelerator program to kind of flush out the business plan here. So tell us what your experience was. I love Community Loan Fund. I have great stories with them. Destiny Watkins, she was just promoted. She's a member of Palette. And so I love hearing stories out of this organization. I can't imagine what the region would look like without their support, and they just they have their hands in almost everything, and it's so awesome. They do such a great job over there. So tell us more how you got involved with them and how they helped you with your business plan.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of, had, for the most part, a majority of the business plan was done, but, it was an opportunity over 8 weeks just to, listen in on a lot of very specific topics that, honestly, took pages of notes and really left each class with things that we really needed to think more about, right? So on a much more, granular, way. And I think, it's very affordable in terms of what they charge for that program. I think it's, kudos to them. I preferred the Zoom format because, as a single mom, it made it very easy for me to, commit to doing it on a Saturday morning. I didn't have to worry about, childcare. And, I could do it from the comfort of my home. It did lose out on some of the networking, possibilities. But I think it's just a great program for you to really understand what you're getting yourself into, right? You and I, we're idea people, we're dreamers, right? We don't see things in a small way, we see things in a large way. And I think in some instances that's it's a gift, but it's also, probably one of our, downfalls also, right? The sun's always coming up, right? So I think it just helps you get grounded, and really stick to, the process, right? It is a process, and you've got it. You can't skip steps because, you had 10 coffees this morning and you just want to go. Everything has to be thoughtful in terms of what you're doing. And I find that, with our space, that's the one thing that, when people come and take a tour, and Destiny and Linda and Molly were here, last week for a tour. I think that's the one thing I hope people take away from our space when they walk through it. And I talk to them about different parts of it, whether it's the sensory room, or, you know, we've got these giant pillars in the middle of the room. There's 4 pillars, and we've got graphics on there that say awesome and kindness and, you know, again, just positivity. You know, that's intentional, right? Like I could just cover up the ugly pillar, but I think our individuals need to see that encouragement. Um, you know, we got a sign in our bathroom that I found on Amazon, right? And it said, she believed she could, so she did.
She did.
And
Yeah,
that's in
I
the
love
ladies' room. Now, I got to be honest, I had a tough time figuring out what sign I wanted to put in the men's room.
that.
Almost like aim, you know, like I just wanted to put the word aim, you know, but you know that, you know, so everything we're doing is intentional, and I think that's part of what the community loan fund does, right? Like I think they make sure that you're just not, you know, going out there willy nilly, because you know there is that, we all know the stats about, you know, small business success rates, right? And so you know you need that person that can kind of give you the framework so that you're you know, operating and doing things in a, you know, in a process and in a cyclical way. You know, you and I spoke, you know, before this started. You know, I was on the phone this morning with National Grid because when we turned on the meter here, the previous business had a demand meter. I didn't know what a demand meter was, but it's not the kind of meter we need. So now I've got to, you know, they've got to go and fix everything. Hopefully a nice credit is coming.
Yeah.
But how do you, you know, like I knew I was paying gas and electricity, but I didn't know that how would I know the previous owner had a demand meter and their type of business needed a demand meter, but my type of business doesn't. So I think
Yeah,
those are the
those
things
sorts
that,
of things, yeah, and those sorts of things you can't really expect to happen, but like,
exactly.
but they will, you know, or you don't know exactly what type of the unexpected you'll deal with, but it's coming, especially in small business, and it takes stamina and resiliency and persistence to just keep going at it, and it's exhausting. So it's important to have these communities of organizations like Community Loan Fund, like Palette, you know, to kind of
Yep.
support you in the process and through it all, you know, and it's exhausting. And you know, it's
And Palette's been, you know, I'm glad you brought up Palette because you know, I've talked to individuals tied to the Palette community. It's been a great resource, yourself and Steve and Denise and Marcella and, you know, the individuals that make up the community. I mean, you know, I think on my social media post, I said it's a safe haven for that entrepreneurial spirit that's in all of us. And so, you know, I encourage people that are thinking, doing things to really explore the resources that we have in our community. We do have resources, whether it's the Community Loan Fund, there's Palette, you know, there's things coming out of the Troy Innovation Garage with their IB. There's so many letters to remember, but you know, there's programs
yeah,
out there. I would
there's
really
tons of programs
suggest
out
that.
there, and you know what I really love about Palette and these other communities that we're members of is that, you know, it gives me the opportunity to be a part of what you're doing. You know, I won't ever really probably in my lifetime open a facility or community space like you're doing. So by you being a part of Palette and us, you're allowing us to be part of what you're doing, and it's so exciting to see it grow. I mean, I can remember we talked about this, like it must have been 2 years, it was but definitely before the pandemic, about what you wanted to do with this space. And so I'm just so excited that it's here now. I can't wait to see it in person. And I implore everyone to show up and go for a tour, go for a visit, make a donation, join. And I think that there's maybe like a huge movie night experience that we could do there with Palette.
That'd be great.
Yeah. And then I wanted to also, there was something else I had here that I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, any advice for folks who are maybe contemplating opening up their own business? I know you say you had trouble with National Grid, but I'm sure that won't be the only kind of like hiccup or challenge that you have to face. And have you applied you know, previous experience to this one to kind of like make it through, and any advice you have for anybody else like thinking about opening up their own business?
You know, I think you hit on it in terms of persistence, right? Like, I don't feel like, you know, being able to pursue something that um, is your passion is really a gift, right? Like to be able to um, know that you're doing something that is going to be impactful, um, you know, is, you know, humbling. And, what we've created here, my group, and again, I want to emphasize it's not just me, although, it's a lot of me. Um, it's just because, it's, my child and that sort of thing. Just realize that, that opportunity is there and you have to just, you know, follow the process and follow the journey and know that, there are going to be bumps in the road. But you're on that path and you're on that path for a reason. And I think I said it at our introductory press conference that we had with County Executive McCoy and some of our funders. My pastor said this and it hit home: live your life worthy of your calling. And I just found over, through COVID and, when I was looking for work and, in need of, kind of grounding myself, right? Like realigning myself. Everyone likes to say the word pivot, that this was it. And so I say, that's what I would say to people: live your life worthy of your calling. And
I
this
love
just
that.
happens to be, my calling. But my goal is to create this so that it lives beyond me, right? Like I want to pass this off. That's why it's a nonprofit, that it continues on beyond, Lisa Audie. It's not, Lisa Audie's box. It's the community space. And that's why we say when you have an idea, you send it in. We don't, we'll try anything, because this should live beyond me. Because the need for the autism and individual and developmental disability community will, exceed, my time with the
I love it.
organization.
Legacy. It's all
So
about legacy. And I think like your daughter must be so proud to see her mom kicking ass. And I think that's great. Do you have a beeper still? Is that a beeper?
no, it's my insulin pump.
I really want to get a beeper. I think that it would
Oh,
be fun to bring beepers back.
great. Hey, you know what? Great beeper story. I was waiting for jury duty, like for it to be called in. And I went to the bathroom and my beeper fell out of my pocket and actually flushed down the toilet. And so I went back into the room, to the person who's like sitting with the potential jurors. And I'm like, I don't know if you need to tell somebody, but like my pager just went down stall 2. I don't know what that means for like the septic system. Just thought I'd let you know. And then I just went back to my chair praying that I didn't get called for jury duty. And maybe that's what they probably just crossed me off. They're like, we don't want that lady on a jury. She can't keep track of her pager. So that was like
Oh
my
my God,
last
I love it. I love it.
my last
All right.
great
Well, is
pager
there
story.
anything else you want to add to the conversation or parting ways? I mean, I was hoping you would say your sweater. I'm like eyeing up that hoodie. I need one.
So this is Kelsey Trainer. She's a lawyer and she was involved in the TV show Blue Buds. So she's on Twitter, and I think the name of the store is like PRFD or PFRD, something like that. It was started by a former college basketball player, and it was pre, this ability to sell your own merchandise just kind of came to college athletics, but it was before that. And it was just for athletes to be able to create their own like merchandise. And so,
Yeah.
in her conversations at one point, she had thrown out this quote, and they decided to mix it in t-shirts and all that other stuff. So all the money that she makes off of this, she donates to this Girls Black Hockey Association to get young, black and brown girls the ability to play hockey. But I just love the saying, invest in women, pay women, hire women. And so she's been out on Twitter, just, like if you look at like the skyrocketing, WNBA TV ratings, the popularity of NCAA women's basketball. And she's basically out there saying, if people would have invested in the WNBA when it launched and stopped being such naysayers, what you're seeing, like the interest is there. The problem is where the product gets placed. And
Mm-hmm.
for example, last spring, the big brouhaha about the workout facilities at the NCAA women's basketball tournament. They had like this ballroom with like 2 barbells in it, and the men's, you look at the men's workout facility and it was like all this top-notch stuff. How does that exist? Right? Like how does it, like the NCAA is $1 billion entity, gets all this, and they'll say, oh, well, the ratings. Well, here's an idea. Why don't you put the women's game on, channel, CBS instead of ESPN2, and let's see what the ratings are. You know what I mean? Like, give us a chance. And you've seen that now with women's professional sports is taking off, but they're taking off because we're starting to get what we deserve. And so I just look at it, I look at my daughter. I know you have a young daughter. My daughter gets so hyper focused on things because of her autism, but she, one day I tried to explain to her a little bit about really what Palette Community is about. I'm like, Carabelle, if there's an opportunity for me to work with a woman and support a women-owned business, and it's just as equal as any other business, I'm picking the women-owned business because it's walk the walk, talk the talk. And we do that here at BOTS, right? Like, we want to hire individuals from the community. Like, that's what is, real. And I say the same thing with women. You know what I mean? Like, we're equals, treat us like it. And so to me, it's invest in women, pay women, hire women. And
I love it. I love it. And what a great way to wrap it up. I'm so excited for you. I love that you're a part of Palette. I can't wait to see the space. I mean, it's beautiful online. The pictures are beautiful. The facility looks gorgeous. There's artwork there, which I'm a fan of. So thanks again for being here with us, sharing your journey with us and letting us be part of it. And I will see you very, very soon.
Yes, come on by, everybody.
All right, bye.